Now, speaking of what should be pro-Americana, what should be about people supporting something, people should be supporting Governor Greg Abbott's role in putting illegal immigrants back at the border from where they came from rather than shoving them into the country. You see what I did there? I did my best to try to make a segment on where we can connect the stories here and have it make somewhat of some sense. It was a little tough, but the story here is Texas Governor Greg Abbott on Thursday issued an executive order that would allow Texas law enforcement to return illegal immigrants apprehended in the state back to the U.S. border, which is what we've been asking for a while. I don't even live in the state of Texas, but I'm like, dude, just use your own people to send them back to the border because it's getting a little ridiculous. And it wasn't just me that said this. It's also a strategy that Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, utilizes and told Governor Greg Abbott to utilize as well, since Joe Biden's just not going to do his job. So Abbott's order allows the Texas National Guard and Texas Department of Public Safety, DPS, which you've heard of before, to apprehend and return illegal immigrants who have crossed between ports of entry to the southern border. Under the order, illegal aliens will be taken to the U.S., but not into Mexico. So they're just going to be taken back to the border. And at least they're close and they're not being thrown in the interior like Joe Biden wants and never heard of again. It comes at a time at a historic migrant encounters at the border. Check this out. This is in May. There were more than 239,000 migrants encountered in May alone. And Abbott said that there were 5,000 migrant apprehensions in Texas alone on Independence Day weekend. While President Biden refuses to do his job and enforce the immigration laws enacted by Congress, the state of Texas is once again stepping up and taking unprecedented action to protect Americans and secure our southern border, which is Joe Biden's job, to execute the laws that are on the books, and he doesn't want to do it. Won't do it, doesn't want to do it, doesn't give a shit about doing it. And I'm sorry for cussing, but we see this in all aspects of America right now. He literally handed millions of barrels to other countries from our reserve that was supposed to be for us, that was supposed to be for Americans, to alleviate the pain that Americans are feeling, and he's sending it to China. Explain that one to me. But you're not going to see that all over the airwaves. But he's doing everything he can to help Americans, while the same way he's freaking supporting people in China and other countries. Unbelievable. The cartels have become emboldened and enriched by Biden's open border policies, smuggling in record numbers of people, weapons, and deadly drugs like fentanyl. California has seen such a devastation of fentanyl, it's ridiculous. The amount of people that are passed out on the streets is mind-blowing. If you've never been to Hollywood, everybody kind of has this picture of what Hollywood Boulevard would look like, where all the celebrities go on the red carpets, where a lot of the movie premieres are at the theater. Just go down there and your head's going to spin. You can't believe that this is the city that makes all these movies and portrays it in a certain way. The amount of hookers you're going to see, the amount of people that are going to be passed out on the streets you're going to see. There are literally people fighting with luggage to try and scam you in the middle of Hollywood Boulevard. I saw that when I went to a Broadway show just a couple years ago at the Pantages. And it's just hundreds of people on the boulevard watching these two homeless people fighting over some luggage and screaming at each other. It is so common, it is mind-blowing. Quote, I've authorized the National Texas Guard, or the Texas National Guard rather, and Texas Department of Public Safety to begin returning illegal immigrants to the border to stop this criminal enterprise endangering our communities. As the challenges on the border continue to increase, Texas will continue to take action to address those challenges caused by the Biden administration. They are caused by the Biden administration. Just you going on the podium like twice in the span of 18 months, and you going, oh, don't come to the border. Don't come. As you literally have like 15,000 people in a caravan and it's growing coming to the U.S.-Mexico border. You have like over 200,000 people, close to 250,000 people a month pouring through the U.S.-Mexico border, of which we can't even apprehend all of them. So some of them are pouring through. Some of them are terrorists, murderers, drug smugglers, drug cartel, MS-13 gang members. You just had 2 of them apprehended the other day by our government officials because luckily you had this hero citizen reporting them of them trying to plot and basically perform a mass shooting on 4th of July weekend. So thank God somebody stopped that. But you wouldn't hear anything from the media or the left on that because they don't care. They don't care. As long as they could sweep that stuff under the rug, their agenda still gets to move forward. Can you imagine if they killed just 1 or 2 people? Do you think that would get the same ratings as it would with all the other mass shootings that we see? The reason why they're not really pushing the 4th of July parade so much is because it was, a sub 2000 gun, which is basically just a long rifle that shoots and performs in the same manner as a handgun. I believe that, and somebody can quote me on this, I'm trying to recall, I think it's a 40 caliber or something for that firearm. But the reason why they're not pushing it is because it's not an AR-15. And that's why in the title there, when they were pushing that shooting, they said it was like an AR-15. What a bunch of idiots. I think it's either a 9mm or it's a 40. Somebody check, and I'll have to check after the recording of this episode. But if you recall, when I was listening to that and I was actually doing the show and showing the apartment video, I said to myself, I was like, it doesn't sound like a 9mm. And it also doesn't really sound like an AR-15. It almost sounds like a 45. And that was pretty damn close. And that was me watching one clip, trying to hear the acoustics of it. And mind you, I'm not military. I didn't grow up as a military person, even though my family was all military and police officers. All those things, you don't got to be that smart to realize and go, that doesn't really sound like an assault rifle or an AR-15. It just kind of sounds like something a little bit low caliber. Now, 45 will do you in, but I'm just saying it wasn't up there with like a 223 or something like that. Meanwhile, the state has sued over Biden administration's policies, thank God, most recently arguing before the Supreme Court in a bid to stop the unraveling of the Trump-era Remain in Mexico policy, which, as you know, fell through. But the High Court ultimately decided the administration can end the program, so it was a big loss for us. We did cover that on the Bald Brad Show. All that stuff's in the video catalogs for all you to watch. Texas has been successful so far in a lawsuit to stop the narrowing of immigration and customs enforcement ICE priorities by the Biden administration. But the administration is going to do everything it possibly can to try and continue to push this smuggling. There's also sex trafficking having all this. Can you imagine if Trump were the one doing all this and kind of was promoting this type of behavior? Yeah, at one end, they would love it. But on the other end, the left would lose their mind because of the sex trafficking that's taking place and all the migrants and everybody that's dying through these heat waves. And also you had that big rig with dozens and dozens of migrants killed inside of it. And they didn't say anything, right? But they care about all this stuff. They care about the migrants. They care about people coming in. But at the same time, where's the outcry over all of that? Where are them losing their minds for anything more than 5 hours? They push all this mass shooting stuff because they don't like guns, but because they like the border, they don't give a crap about all those people that just died in that freaking big rig and are dying while coming to the border. It's over 109 degrees right now. They got people, hundreds of them, dying every single year on ranchers' properties. The ranchers don't even know how to get rid of the bodies at times because there's so many, but they're not going to do anything about it. They're just going to look the other way and say, oh, that's terrible. I feel bad for them. Rather than actually doing the jobs with the laws on the books as the executive branch and carrying out and doing your duty as the president of the United States, they're not going to do it. It is one of the worst things I think Americans have to deal with at this present time, other than the whole economic issue with gas prices and inflation. This has a massive toll on people's families because some of these people come in and they murder people. And they get away with it because not with the murder themselves always, sometimes they do, but they'll commit a crime and then they'll come back and re-enter and commit another crime, and then they'll be deported and then commit another crime. And then there's times where these people will come in 3 or 4 times and then finally they just end up murdering somebody. And like I've said, there's multiple cases on this where there was this one where you had this woman killed by 1 or 2 illegal immigrants. She was freaking gunned down, murdered. They don't know where they got the gun because they got it illegally. And they just murder her, and now they're freaking doing life. So they got apprehended, they got caught, but a lot of them don't. A lot of them get away with this stuff. And if they have killed somebody, nobody knows about them at all, and they just continue to do the stuff. They'll commit a different crime, and they deported and keep coming back and forth. That's how all this stuff works. Frustrating as hell. Biden's a part of it. Biden's supporting it, and he needs to be ousted because of that. If there was anything that I'd be willing to impeach a president on, it's the dereliction of them doing their job and duty. It is his job to carry out the laws and execute the laws, and he's not doing it, and he's willfully not doing it. That's the problem I have with it. I don't throw around impeachment too much, but on this issue, if you're not doing your job and it's hurting Americans, and statistically shows it hurts Americans, we know you're not doing your job because you have the power to do it. You can send your own military down there. You have the states that actually have to build a border wall themselves, like Texas, even though it's your job to build a border wall and actually provide and take care of your citizens by protecting the borders so you don't have terrorists coming through, so you don't have people that are trying to plot mass shootings. If you're not doing your job and that's your sole duty, you need to be ousted. You need to be gone. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.